Here come the hot stepper, on the lyrical gangster. Pick up the crew in the area, still love it like that. Here come the hot stepper, on the lyrical gangster. Excuse me, Mr. Officer, still love it like that.
Well, if that doesn't make you want to go out and exercise, I don't know what does. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Lauren Fisher, host of Wellness Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Happy New Year. I just got an alert to see Governor Northam is making an update right now. So thank you for tuning in here. So very happy tonight to be talking to Kat Zajac, who is the owner of Ascend Cycle. Main purpose of our show is always to connect you to our amazing local business owners. And we are going to talk about her story, her business vision, her inspiration, and the ways in which she's adapted through the pandemic. So what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about her. Kat has been the owner of Ascend Cycle and Underground, a boutique cycling and exercise studio here in Delray for 6 years. She's been also recognized by the Alexandria Chamber of Commerce for the 40 Under 40 Leadership Awards. These are business owners and individuals in our community who have really stood out and above in the way that they've led and their contributions to the community. She is also a fellow Wellness District member and someone that I admire and respect here in the community. So without further ado, I'd like to bring her on to the show. Welcome, Kat.
Hi.
Hi. Thanks for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So for those of you tuning in, before we jump into Kat's story, we do have a giveaway tonight. For those who are interested, we are giving away 2 class passes to Ascend Cycle, which is able to be used for their spin cycle or for their lift lab. So if you're interested and you're tuning in right now, please in the chat box, go ahead and do #Ascend. So you'll be entered into that raffle. All right, Kat, let's get down to business. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and what led you to, or what inspired you to open up a cycle studio. We got a little bit of a delay.
She looks
here.
like she might be a little bit frozen. Hi, everybody. Sorry to pop in. I'm just trying to go to different screens and see if we can get her back. Let me try putting her on 3.
It's kind of how the year's gone, you know.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a blockbuster, unpredictable year. So, technological snafu. So stand by. We're waiting to get Kat, the owner of Ascend Cycle, on with us so she can tell us her story.
Yeah, I don't. I apologize. I just don't know where you went. But Kat, call back in if you can, and hopefully she will come back in. Here she comes.
Okay.
Hi, Kat.
Kat.
There you are.
Now? Okay,
yes,
sorry.
we do. No, it was no problem. It froze for a second, but anyway, go ahead, Lauren. Why don't you ask the question again?
Kat, you're just building up excitement. The audience is ready. All right. So if you will, tell us a little bit about your history and what led you, inspired you to open up a cycling studio.
Sure. So fitness has always been a very integral part of my life. I was a gymnast throughout high school. And when I wasn't practicing gymnastics, I would go to our local gym down the street and take some of the group fitness classes. And this is like way back in the day. But I would take spin classes there, and I really enjoyed the experience of the cardio and the musical experience of that. So that was probably my first experience doing cycling ever. And then flash forward to undergrad, when I went to college, I ended up majoring in exercise science. And as part of that, I learned how to become a fitness instructor. So I started pursuing a couple different types of fitness certifications. And one of those was what's called a Mad Dog spin certification. And you learn how to become a spin instructor. And so from there, I started teaching spin actually at the White House Athletic Center in DC for a little bit. And I remember I used to always play like all this Bon Jovi and like 80s and all this like really awesome like rock music. And then as I went through college and I went through grad school, I continued to teach a combination of group fitness, aerobics types classes, cycling. And then once I received my master's, which is in health administration, I went into healthcare consulting and got to do a lot of traveling. And one of the places I used to travel to was in Boston, where my family's actually from. And I would stay with my sister a lot of times. And we would go to a local boutique cycling studio that was in downtown Boston. And it just that experience reinvigorated cycling for me. It was when some of the other larger brands were really becoming more well-known. Like SoulCycle is the brand that really kind of was the forefront of this reinvention of indoor cycling. And I just fell in love with it again. And myself, would take these classes. And after I had my first kid, my son, I had an opportunity to invest in opening up a fitness studio with my former business partner. And we decided to open a cycling studio in the old homemade pizza place that opened up, which is where we still kind of are today. And we took a risk and jumped on it and opened up a cycling studio. And it's kind of been history from there.
Yeah, we're like super glad that pizza place closed because you guys have really contributed a lot to our community. I know, well, first of all, I've had the luxury of taking a class there, so I understand what it's about, but it's also the buzz. Like you hear about certain businesses in the community that really are meaningful to people. And so, and I know I've had a lot of clients and other people go there and just speak really highly of it. So, tell us a little bit about your business vision, because it's clear to us that like fitness has been a big part of your life and you're passionate about it. But opening a business, being passionate, opening a business is one thing, but what is it that you want to create?
Sure. So I think there obviously is the physical fitness aspect of it, which I, of course, am passionate about it. I majored in it in college and I've been a personal trainer and I really love, I love fitness from a physical standpoint, but finding this space in these boutique fitness studios that I first experienced back in Boston, and as I did CrossFit for a while, what I really got out of those things was a sense of community and the support of the community, the recognition, the accountability, everything coming together in addition to your spin, just the workout itself makes this really special experience. And, we've found that, people come for one reason, maybe to get fit or to just exercise, but they stay because of the community or they stay because of the accountability or the people that they meet. And it's just been such a pleasure to really build a sense of community, a supportive environment for people to work on themselves physically and mentally. So for me, it's a place that's an outlet, get your physical energy out, but also get your mental energy out and walk out the door feeling like what we say is a better version of yourself. Get all that out mentally and physically, just a positive experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think this, and you're mentioning it, like, people want to work on their health, but they're far more successful, whether it's changing eating or exercise, when they are doing it with support and in a community. But I also love, like, I think we just saw some pictures, which are really great because the whole overall atmosphere, that was the first thing I noticed when I walked in like six 6 years ago was that wall and become the best version of yourself. And it was just like full of like inspiration and the messages. So it's, you've created, quite an experience for people. And I would like to cue up the quotes that I pulled, if you will. So I didn't tell you about these, but I pulled two from some articles. So someone said, "Love this place, great teachers, great atmosphere, great music, a total burn of a workout. So glad it's in our community. It's literally therapy on wheels. I pedal away my worries away. Thanks to great teachers and great classes." So let's talk about that for a second. First of all, that's an amazing. Okay. Thank you. That's an amazing reflection. But the therapy part, because when you and I were talking, tell me a little bit about that and how that resonates with you.
I think any exercise brings this moment or this opportunity to clear your mind. And for me personally, spin is one of those forms of exercise, and probably the one that gives me the most mental release. The combination of, right now it's not a dark room, but previously in a dark room with music, everything's kind of tailored. You're tuning into this beat, you're tuning into your breath, you're tuning into your body, all moving in conjunction, really shutting out other distractions. Gives you this clarity, I think, by the time that you're done. These thoughts come in your head, but they kind of have to move out of the way because you're going through this process, this ride, and kind of getting distracted by the music. And, for me, if you're having a bad day or you're having even a really good day, it almost just like amplifies this like positive energy. So that's why I love it. And I think a lot of people, just like that person who gave that such a nice quote, it really is a therapeutic process.
Yeah, and I think in today's day and age, it's even harder than it was before to like really shift our focus, out of our thoughts and out of the things we're worrying about. And I think people are always searching for their thing, and that's why exercise, like you said, is really great. But not every exercise gets you there. So it'd be interesting for people to try this out if they hadn't, because of the real full engagement of your body and the music and the experience. And that really is, like we talked about, exercise meditation, when you're able to get yourself fully in the moment. So I know, that's what that quote is saying, right? It is therapy, right? And we find our therapy in the things that heal us in many different ways. So I thought that was important. And I think the other quotes, if you can pull that up, I thought just as important as they're pulling it up. It says, "Ascend has genuinely changed my life. I found the love of my life there. I've attended Ascend happy hours, cookouts, and even weddings." My guess is you probably know who that is.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe, because, I think that just speaks to community. And like, I see you guys often, and they really do go to happy hours after. Like, it is like a family and a community. And I know that is really important for people who are nervous about trying out things. And I think just we're in a time where people, well, pre-pandemic, where people are working and they feel isolated. So again, that sense of community, I just think you've done an amazing job. So, okay, I'll stop elaborating on that. But what we could go on to is talk about what your services are. Let's talk about the different elements and things that you offer at your business location.
Sure, of course. What we are most known for, of course, is our cycling experience. So right now, I don't know if you want me to go into the pandemic stuff, but we are riding in the outdoor space where we offer outdoor cycling classes. And then we also offer small group strength training classes. And that was something that I added on in what we originally called Ascend Underground back in the end of 2017. And really just to give a complementary type of way to exercise in addition to the cardio that you're getting on the bike. So the strength training program is about building up your muscles, giving you strength, bone health, joint health, muscle strength. And then the cardio aspect is this, obviously workout for your heart, cardiovascular exercise. And of course, the mental, I think, comes out of both of those, the mental benefits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, speaking of the Lift Lab, can we cue up the video for the Lift Lab? So people can take a look at that and what that looks like.
Over the cities with black sky, and everything looks good. I am the passenger. You see the silent.
All right, great. So we've got some questions coming in. Tell us a little bit more about the Lift Lab. Is that guided? Do people do that on their own? How does that work?
Yeah, so the Lift Lab is a small group personal training class. So there are 4 people in each class, and there is a coach. I do all the programming myself. So I use my experience as a personal trainer and background to curate what the entire schedule is for the week of what everybody's doing in each one of the classes. And then we have a coach there who coaches people through the class. And what I love about it is it's a great experience for people that are newer to lifting weights, as well as people that are experienced, because of the small scale and because of how we can adapt and modify any of the movements that we're doing based off of your level. It's just when you have only a couple people in a room, it's relatively easy to make modifications, and our coaches are all trained and qualified to make adjustments as needed so that you can progress at your own rate, which I think is so important in fitness. A lot of times group fitness can be very fast paced, and it can be either dangerous to jump into a group fitness class without having the personalized attention that we can give. And then additionally, really just having a supportive environment that's a little bit smaller that you can take step by step and see progress like week over week.
Yeah. So people really feel like they're really getting almost an individual experience in this small group. But I think that's really important. It sounds great the way you set it up. And you'd mentioned, during COVID right now, you're still able to operate, right, with guidelines. Mm-hmm. So you're able to have 4 people at a time. Is that right?
Yeah. So it's 4 people within the space. And that's mainly because each station is spaced 10 feet apart from anybody else. So when you arrive to the class, you are at your own station, spaced away from other people. You stay there for the duration of the class. We also keep the front door open so that we have airflow coming in and out. And yeah, people have found that it's they feel comfortable with the setup from a COVID perspective. And then some of our clients are even like, we don't ever want to go back. I like having all of my equipment. Like, I like having all my stuff here. So people are just enjoying like just being able to do their thing with that coach's guidance there.
Yeah. And you had said one of the unintended or like consequences of this, but in a good way, is that people are bonding a little bit more because the classes had been larger before, slightly larger, right?
Yeah. So the Lift Lab classes are about a quarter of the size of what we were doing with strength training before. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's fun because we find that because the classes are so small, we have a lot of the same people taking the same class the same day of the week at the same time. So they cheer each other on. They get to know when someone's hitting a PR, which is a personal record, when you've lifted more than you have before. And it's just really nice to see that in addition to the coach supporting, there's all these other people in the room who get to know each other and are supporting each other too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think people really need a sense of connection now. So it's amazing you can provide that in that one format. And we're going to go back to your cycling studio part of it in a second. So for all those who didn't hear me in the beginning, if you are interested in being entered into the raffle for a free class, go ahead and type in #ascend right now so we know who is actually interested, and we will pull those 2 names and announce them in about 10 minutes at the end of the show. All right. So, okay, there's this whole pandemic thing going on, right? So tell us a little bit about your journey as a business owner and the ways that you've needed to pivot and what the experience has been like for you.
Yeah, I think, basically we had to pick up and move our studio down the street. So we have our space, which if you're obviously in Delray, you're familiar with our space that's next to Cheese-Teak. Because of the spacing guidelines that were put out and because of the indoor, the risks of exercising, especially doing cardio inside, that space was not going to work for our spin classes. So we were able to work with our landlord to actually move our studio down the street into a vacant space at Commonwealth and Mount Vernon in the old garage that's there and the old auto body shop. And we've been able to create an outdoor spin experience as a result and in reaction to wanting to continue to offer our classes, but in a more COVID preventative safety type of way. So in the garage we've scaled our classes down. We're running at about a little less than 50% of where we were before the pandemic. Same thing, same guidelines apply. Everyone is 10 feet apart. No one's touching equipment that is other than just theirs that they're using, which is just their bike and some hand weights for the arm exercises. And people are wearing their masks for the entire time they're on the property, aside from when they're actually on the bike doing the exercise. So it's been really neat. And I would say for me, the winter has been pushing me out of my comfort zone a little bit to be working out in the cold, but I've loved seeing, we've got people showing up, they've got hats, they've got gloves, they've got layers, and they're showing up and doing the workouts outside. And it's just been such a happy pleasure to see that people are willing to show up in the elements and no matter kind of how we've had to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe we could cue up that last video, Susan, please. Okay, maybe we can also, thank you. So that showed the technology that you're using, right? So everyone's got their own music, and you're also allowing live streaming in if people have bikes at home, correct?
Yes. So we purchased this technology, the silent disco technology, because once we realized that the pandemic was going to be running much longer than we initially realized, we wanted to be friendly neighbors and didn't want to be disrupting the community. And the music is so important to the spin experience. So in order to rectify that and make our experience as best as possible, but also be a friendly neighbor to everyone, we purchased the system called Silent Disco. And basically you're tuning into a radio frequency. And you saw in that video, there's these larger kind of fancy headphones that you can purchase and wear, or you can use these and you plug into the receiver that you saw on the video. And you just basically tune into the ride. And there's two major benefits that have come out of this that I actually really like, and probably even if we moved indoors eventually, I really like how this technology works. One is that the mix of the instructor's voice and the music is created very well. You can hear the instructor and you can hear the music, and it's less of a trying to hear the instructor over the music, which can tend to be a little bit of a complaint in a spin class where the music's kind of blaring and bouncing off the walls in a small room. So that's great. And I think is a really great way for people to get introduced into spin, because they can hear the instructor clearly and they know what's going on. And then the second piece is you can control the volume during the spin class. So I like my music really loud, so I can turn it up as loud as I want. Some people might have a little more sensitive ears and they can turn it down, but it goes back to this ability, now that we're in a garage and there's light coming in from the sun, there's distractions of people walking by, there's cars driving by in the street. Turning up that music and having that sound right in your ears gives you this ability to really tune back in to where you are and tune into the ride. And I've found that has really elevated the experience for us.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I thank you for flashing the pictures. I thought we had one. Gonna see if we have that one, that the wide span of the garage, because I think you know better than anybody. During this, business owners have needed to pivot and pivot fast, and you guys are a great example of resilience, pivoting and adapting. And I know that it's still a long haul and we're not through this, but the reuse of the garage is great. It looks aesthetically awesome with that whole wall. You have a lot of bright art in there. And so I don't know if is that going to stay post pandemic? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I think we really love this space. It's a cool vibe. And we were really happy to get this graffiti wall done. I think it just fits so well with what we were trying to show in the garage, and we tried to recreate in a graffiti way that mantra wall that you were talking about that was on the wall in our old studio, where there's these motivational words that as you're looking towards the front of the room near the instructor, you're seeing these things: ride to the beat, change, climb higher, sprint faster, all of these words, motivational phrases that we use during class, and gives you something to look at when you need to look at something else.
Absolutely. It's a really cool vibe. Hey, for those of you who are just jumping in, if you're interested in winning an opportunity or a free class pass, please go ahead and type in #ascend right now. We're going to announce that in about 5 minutes or so. Okay, so Shells has a great question. So for people who have not been or have never taken a spin class, is it hard to join? Demystify. Tell people what they can expect, and if they're nervous about it, what would you say to them?
Sure. So the way that we teach our spin classes, all of our coaches talk about how your body should be feeling throughout the class. So there isn't a magic number. You're not competing against anyone or someone near you. It's really more about what we try to do is have you tune into yourself, how hard you're breathing, how tired your legs are. And as it goes through with the music and we push maybe a little bit harder during certain parts of the song, the coach is there or the instructor is there to kind of guide you through that and to help you learn how to push yourself during class. And so for someone that's new, it's really a matter of just coming in and getting on the bike and clipping in for the first time and just experiencing it and not holding yourself. There's really nothing that we expect of you. And it's really more of you coming in and trying it out and getting the experience, get a feel for what the flow of the class is. And then as you continue to do over time, you start to learn that rhythm. You start to see how much stronger you're getting. And it's not scary, and no one's comparing you to anyone else. It's more, again, like I said, a really supportive community. So we do require spin shoes. We like all of our participants in classes to be clipped into the pedals, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is just safety. Those shoe cages that are on bikes, we do things where we get in and out of the saddle, so you're standing on the bike or you're seated on the bike. And it's just a little bit of a safety thing that I really prefer people to be in the proper shoes for the class. And it's also more effective for your workout. When you're stuck into the bike, you are doing a revolution that's a full circle. So not only are you using your quads, which is on the front of your legs, but you're also using your glutes and using your hamstrings. So it's a much more effective workout. So you're just getting that much more out of it. So if you're new, we welcome you to come into the studio and use your sneakers and the shoe cages just to try it out to make sure you like the experience. And then we would ask that you invest in your own shoes so that you can get the most out of each and every ride.
Awesome. And just lastly, since you are a fitness expert here, and also did we hit on the fact that you guys offer health coaching?
Oh, also, I don't think so. Yeah.
That?
So
okay.
A couple of things that we do offer in addition that are more personalized, kind of on the side of our classes, is we are offering personal training sessions that are intro level. If you don't feel ready to go to the Lift Lab in the small group setting, we offer a 4 personal training session package and an 8 personal training session package. And that's just designed to get you one-on-one attention and to get you ready to experience what's happening in the class so you feel more prepared walking in the door when there's other people there. So we have a couple people that have been taking advantage of that and have found that it just gives them a little more confidence when integrating into the rest of the classes. And then in addition to that, if you're looking for some assistance with more of a holistic approach to your fitness and wellness routine, we do have a health coach on the team, and she can focus on lifestyle change, nutrition, workout balance, all the things that kind of more of a, how can you make this work in your life for like long lasting change? So we offer that as well.
Okay, great. And we have one last question before we wrap up. Someone asked if they have hip issues, would that be a problem for spinning, or how might you approach that?
It depends on what the hip issue is, and you're more than welcome to reach out to me after this webinar tonight, and I can address any specific questions you have. But typically, especially with clipping in to the bike with the proper shoes, we find that folks with tight hip flexors or former hip injuries are able to spin without a problem. It's low impact, so if you can't do jumping and things like that because of your hip, you wouldn't have to worry about something like that in spin class.
Okay. And lastly, so for the greater community here that is listening, these wonderful listeners, from your expert opinion, if you had to say one or two things that you think people should be doing or could be doing that would be most valuable for their health right now, what would they be?
Sure. So I think the first thing is don't downplay your recovery. So I'm a big believer in getting your sleep and giving your body a break, and listening to your body throughout the week as you're going through your workouts, especially this time of year. I think there's a lot of pressure on people to do more or to do things differently. And I definitely encourage folks to try new things, to try new workouts, to push themselves to the next level if that's where you want to go. But also on the flip side of that, all of that hard work, you want to balance that with proper recovery techniques, such as good sleep at night, resting on a rest day when you need to, taking a bath, all of the things that nurture your body so that you have that balance. And then the second thing I would say is, just about being active, trying to be active every day. And it goes back to, again, feeling that pressure of having to do how much exercise should you be doing on a day-to-day basis. And really for me, that's going to depend on your goals. But even if it's just getting outside and going for a walk and moving your body each day, that does wonders for your health, mental and physical. So again, whether it's spin class, whether it's lifting, change it up, give yourself a lot of variety in your workout routine. And if it's just a walk that you have time for, just go ahead and do that. And that's just as good.
Thank you. So, pretty much over the last few shows, every time I ask the question, that's one of the two things that keep coming up: sleep and movement, sleep and movement, sleep and movement. And when leaders repeat things, people will listen. In our case, we are going to be repeating them for the greater good. We go back to the basics. And, in times of stress, such as, we are finding ourselves often, we just need to go back to the basics. So that was great advice. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So Susan, would you like to jump in and tell us who's won the 2 passes for?
Yes, I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to say that the winners are Shells Carl and Alicia Gale.
All right.
I hope I pronounced her name correct. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Alicia.
You did.
Alicia. Okay, good.
Other awesome female business owners. Thank you guys for
congratulations,
tuning in.
And thanks everybody for chiming in.
Yep, and I will go with both of you when you go. Because by the way, I was telling Kat for years, I'm terrified because I had a spin class like way back in the day, and I wanted to die the whole time, and it was boring. And when I went to yours, it was fun, and you mentioned that, and I think that's such a key ingredient, like finding exercise that resonates with you and that's fun. I just happened to be in a anti-exercise slump last year, so I look forward to trying again. But I enjoyed it, and I hope that everyone else who hasn't checks it out. Kat has really created a great environment, so thank you very much. And sorry, I forgot to ask, where can people find you?
Yes. So you can find us at www.ascendcycle.com. That's our website. That would show you the schedule of classes that we are offering. It allows you to book, create your profile before you book a class. And then we also have a pretty active Instagram account. That's at Ascend Cycle and then at Ascend Lift Lab. And both of those have separate accounts where we showcase specifically what we're doing at each studio.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
You're welcome. Have a great day or evening. All righty. So just to finish up here, one of the quotes I like that we saw earlier was grow through what you go through. We are finding ourselves in yet another layer of stress within our, new year. So, I just want to, I feel like I just need to comment for a second, of course, that I hope that we are giving ourselves compassion and taking care of ourselves. I think often we find some strength and stability and we feel like we have things under control and then a new stressor shows up. Well, it is what it is, but we still have to, as they say, the show still goes on. So I do encourage you to continue to tune in to what you need and to, again, be compassionate to yourself if you're feeling tired, stressed, exhausted, or feeling irritable. Go back to, again, the basics of what you need at this time and support yourself with good people. Or maybe go take a spin class, whatever works best for you. All right. So want you to know about a new show coming out tomorrow on ZTV. It's called Alexandria Makers Market by Elsa Kovic. And she's the host, and she'll be featuring local retailers and the products that they have in our area and our community. And also in 2 weeks, feel free to come back here and join in again. I will be featuring My Trin of My Trin Health Now, and we're going to be talking all about women's issues. So all of that stuff that happens in your 40s, and also the consideration for a sober, curious lifestyle, how not drinking alcohol may be beneficial for a lot of different ways. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. And as always, remember to be the good news in someone's life. Take care.